What's up, famzy? My name is Branzy, and welcome to 5 Minute Minecraft, where I scour the internet to find farms and builds that you can put in your world in 5 minutes or less. And in today's episode, we are talking about a villager trading hall design that I've been playing with and trying to combine a couple cool ones that I found online. Not only will we be going over the 5-minute version that you see right here, but we will also be going over a version that if you give it an additional 5 minutes of your time, you can get your villagers in place a whole lot easier using that guy right there. So with that being said, famzy, let's jump into how this thing works, and then we'll jump right into the tutorial. So basically, anytime that you have a villager that falls into here, or you learn into here by yourself, in this version, you would just have to break this and put it back, and you can get whatever trade that you're looking for. Say that you wanted sweeping edge 3, well, fantastic, here's your guy. But you want to get a little bit cheaper, go ahead and flip that switch. The zombie in the back there will convert him to a zombie villager. Once he's done with that, we can flip this switch back, throw him a potion of weakness, throw him a golden apple, and he should be good to go and start giving us some really great trades. And hopefully these guys will gossip around and tell the other friends that how great we are. All right, so the main difference that we're gonna have here between these two farms is that how you get your villagers loaded in here. So say that you have your villager breeder that drops your villagers in right here. What's gonna happen is the villagers are gonna automatically find their way to the first available workstation, which they're gonna do just like that. Okay, so let's talk about what you're gonna need in order to build this trading hall. Basically, you're gonna need an area that is 5 wide and it is 8 tall. Mind you that this is going to be your floor level, then it's gonna need to go 2 deep, and then your floor level, and then 5 blocks high from there. So 8 tall in total. And then your width is going to depend on how many cells you wanna build. In this example, I'm only gonna build 3 cells, but we're gonna need 7 blocks wide in order to do that. Okay, and here is the materials that you are going to need to build this thing. Basically, the way I've got this split up is in total, this is for 1 cell that you're gonna need in order to build 1 cell of this trading hall, okay? It seems like a lot, but I promise it's worth it if you're into the trading hall stuff. So basically, this is broken up into the 5-minute version right here. And then if you wanna add the automatic villager loader section, you're gonna need all of this in addition to all this stuff right here. And then of course you're gonna need 1 zombie for the whole thing, and you're going to need at least 1 villager per cell in order to build this. Okay, so now that we have our supplies and everything, let's go ahead and start building this thing. And we're gonna start with the 5-minute version and build on top of that later on, all right? So basically, I'm gonna build 3 cells just like we have there. So we're gonna start with a redstone dust right there. So 1 over on the front row of our area, just like that, every other one. And then behind the redstone dust, we're gonna place a solid block, and then a sticky piston behind that solid block, just like that. And then we're gonna go up, up, and up, just like that. And we're gonna put our iron trapdoors on top of that sticky piston, just like that. And then we're gonna put more solid blocks on top of the redstone dust, just like that. Okay, so let's fill in this area really quick with full blocks or any kind of building block that we want, just so we have a nice area to walk on. And then I'm just gonna put levers just like that right on top of where that redstone dust is. And then we're gonna put lecterns right behind all of those, just like that. And then when you flip the switch, the trapdoor should raise up, and when you put it back, it should drop back down. So we have that, we should be good to go. Let's go ahead and put our zombie hall where he's gonna be walking back and forth in really quick. So basically what we're gonna do, place some slabs right there between the sticky pistons, and then I'm gonna build out 2 from there because this is where the edge of mine are. Obviously, if you were adding more cells, you would just continue this pattern until you were satisfied. But for this demonstration, we're only gonna have 30 cells in total, so we're gonna leave it just like that. And then I'm gonna build this over just like this, and we're gonna basically encase this whole row of blocks with a 2 high area, just like that. And I'm also going to include in that the area right there, as well as the block next to the lecterns on the sides. And that's going to help keep the zombie from seeing anything outside of there. And speaking of which, we're also going to put a block there and there in between the lecterns to also help with the zombie not tracking anything other than the villagers that we want him to see. Okay, so we're going to place a temporary block right there, and then a half slab on top of that, there and there. And we can remove those 2 temporary blocks. And we're going to put half slabs on top of every one of these lecterns as well, and that's going to help our villagers not be able to track a workstation outside of the ones that we want them to see as well there. So once we have all that done, we can put a roof on top of our little zombie hallway here, and we can break that temporary block, and you can even go ahead and add a half slab or a full block right there. But other than that, the last thing that you guys need to do for your 5-minute version is get your zombie and your villagers in place. On either version, the zombie I would recommend doing right here at this point. It's pretty easy to get a zombie in here. Basically what would happen is it'd be nighttime or whatever, you'd be in survival mode. You would break these 2 blocks right here, right where the zombie's hallway is going to be, and then just lure him in. As soon as he gets to about right there, you could go ahead and place a block behind him so he can't get back out. Break these 2 blocks, and then put, 2 blocks right there, and then he's trapped. Go ahead and give him a name tag or whatever you want to make sure that he doesn't despawn. Even an item I think will do just fine. But at this point, your 5-minute farm is pretty much done. Just go ahead and get your villagers in there, and that's where the 10-minute version of this farm comes into place, and where I would recommend the one that you build in your world, because it is so much easier. Villagers are the worst, and so let's go ahead and build an automatic villager placer portion of this really quick. So in any case, let's go ahead and flip these on so that the trap doors are up and their villagers are not going to get converted until we are ready for them to do so. Okay, so now let's talk about the 10-minute version. All right, so the first thing that we're going to need to do is we're going to need to replace this block behind each cell where our villagers are going to be, and we're going to need to replace that with an observer just like that. Now, be careful when you're doing this, because your zombie might catch fire, right? So maybe just place a block on top of that and then place that in there, and it should make your life a little bit easier. But in any case, let's go ahead and place a solid block behind that observer. And while we're up here, we're also going to place a piece of string on the face side of the observer, right? So anytime something trips that string, it's going to send a redstone signal into that solid block, which is going to send a signal into this note block, which we want to observe happening right here, right? Whoops, excuse me there. And then right there as well. Okay, so once we have that, let's go ahead and we're going to build back a couple just like that. And on top of the observers, we're going to place sticky pistons just like that. And right where I am standing now, right there on that temporary block, we're going to place a trap door, or excuse me, we're going to place a fence gate just like that. Let's go ahead and break that temporary block, place another temporary block, and we'll place the fence gate right there. And we're going to keep doing that there and there and there. We're going to just basically repeat all of this until you have all of your cells covered, right? And we have our sticky piston there. Now, on top of each one of our fence gates, we are going to place, excuse me, a redstone block just like that. And there we go. So now, anytime that this note block gets a signal, it's going to retract or extract this redstone block, right? So nothing too crazy there. So we're going to go ahead and build up this area right here. You could use full blocks there. That's not a big deal. Just, for transparency's sake, like to keep it, with the 5-minute version as well. So we'll do that. And then I'll build up this side wall here, and we'll just replace that. And there we go. And then since we have these blocks here, you can go ahead and place this block here. And we're almost done, but before we call it quits, what I want to do is just drop down in here, and we're just going to place our trap doors just like that, okay? And that's going to help our villagers find their way just a little bit quicker. And we're going to build up these side walls just like that, and then fam, you're pretty much done. Now, if you're building this outside, I would recommend that in order to protect your zombified villagers, you go ahead and put that half slab or a solid block or something that sun can't get through, so that they do not perish in the daylight. All right, but at that point, you're done. That's the whole thing. Nothing too crazy, nothing too hard about it. Before we call it quits, though, a couple things I want to just point out. One is that this was based on a couple of other designs that I found and just kind of mashed them together. One was by Geek Boy, and I'll be sure to link that one in the description, as well as the video by Dusty Dude. Both have channels on YouTube. Be sure you check them out if you guys are interested in those. And I will also put some links to some villager breeders that I've used in the past in my Let's Play series, one from A Civilian and one from Lagging Days. Both great designs, but I would highly recommend you guys check those out if you're interested in getting villagers, you know, to that point right there. And that is going to do it for today's episode, family. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to let me know down below. You guys know what to do. If you have any suggestions on this farm or have any questions, be sure to leave them down below. And as always, tune in for the next one.